Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's good, everybody? Hope you're doing well. D in the building. What's up, man? I saw you earlier, man. What's going on, man? Shout out to Baltimore, man. Shout out to the great city of Baltimore. Always supporting the channel, man. Thank you for all the love from Baltimore, man. Quintero LaGrew, what up, man? Gilbert Jimenez, man. What's up, Gilbert Jimenez? Good to see you, man. Jimenez. What's going on? Ralph Chestnut in the building, man. Good morning, Mr. Howard. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Andy Gill, what's going on? All things. Easy number one. Frank say, you the champ, Fanon. Hey, man, I'm trying to be, bro. I'm trying to be. Chilling, Ray Patterson. I'm good, man. Had a good day working on this Muhammad Ali documentary yesterday. Paying attention to the boxing news, obviously. So that was really cool. It was cool. I enjoyed my day. Ray, what did you get done yesterday, man? I hope you had a productive day, a positive day. I was tripping out on all the word getting spread around about my guy Shakur Stevenson. And I did, you guys told me yesterday that he was on the undercard. But I had to wait until I saw it, till I knew that Shakur Stevenson is on the undercard. Man, let me tell you something. Turki Al-Sheikh does not know what he's doing. That man is ruled by just, I don't know what you could say. Yes. Quintero LaGrew, before you start, can you inform me on the TKO Muhammad Ali Act? Yes, I can. So let's talk what the Muhammad Ali Act is first, and then we'll talk about what TKO is and the UFC. So the Muhammad Ali Act is a federal act. It is an act of Congress, and it was an act of Congress that was spearheaded by the late Republican Senator John McCain. And the purpose of the Muhammad Ali Act was twofold. Was to organize the sport in a way that fights are fair. And number two, they wanted to create a situation where boxers would not be exploited by promoters and by managers. It was motivated in large part because of the mafia's involvement in boxing through the 1940s and 1950s. The mafia kind of fell off in boxing in the early 1960s. But then there was still a lot of, manipulation of the ranking systems. There was also a lot of freezing out of fighters, right? Where, fighters like not Henry Armstrong, I'm sorry. The Mongoose, Archie Moore, didn't get a championship shot until he was like 40 years old. And when he did get the championship shot, he had to give the gross amount of the money over to the person that he was fighting. So there was a lot of things going on like that in boxing for a long time. And John McCain, who loved boxing, put forth an effort to solve the problem by having some type of federal oversight over the sport of boxing. And again, so the Muhammad Ali Act is written in two parts, or for two major purposes. One major purpose deals with the fighter and the relationship with the fighter to the promoter and to the manager. And in short, what it did is it built a firewall between the promoter and the manager, where the manager cannot be the promoter and the promoter cannot be the manager. Now, the reason that they did that is because the promoter has an interest in making money off of the event, and the manager has responsibilities to ensure that the fighter is taken care of financially and otherwise. So there's a conflict of interest between the two, a conflict of interest between the promoter and the manager, because they should be negotiating against one another or with one another. And the manager is supposed to be the representative of the fighter when the manager is talking to the promoter. But if you allow the promoter to be the manager, then you see a lot of manipulation of the fighter take place. So that's what the Muhammad Ali Act is in the first part. In the second part, Control, they mandate that the sanctioning bodies have a uniform set of rules right? As to the glove size, the length of the rounds, things like that, right? And they certify the sanctioning bodies, the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, and I also believe the IBO. They allow them to put on fights, but they have to be licensed by an organization called the Association of Boxing Commissions. The Association of Boxing Commissions is empowered by the Muhammad Ali Act to oversee the sanctioning bodies and ensure that that they have good, solid ranking systems, which means if a fighter is performing in the way that he should perform, that he's able to climb the rankings and get a championship shot, and then he won't be prevented because of politics between the promoters and the events that take place, right? So essentially that's what the Ali Act is. So what TKO is it's a boxing organization that's supposed to be some type of league or whatever. It's boxing. And so therefore, because it's professional boxing, it's going to be regulated by the Muhammad Ali Act. Now, as of right now, the UFC, which is mixed martial arts, is not regulated by the Muhammad Ali Act. So they are allowed to do what the UFC can do, right? The UFC has a league. They have a ranking system, just the ranking system within the UFC. The managers really don't have a lot of say so. It's pretty much Dana White dealing with the fighters and paying the fighters on a pay scale, right? But Dana White's the promoter. But if it was boxing, Dana White would not be able to be the promoter and be the manager. So what they wanted to do is what TKO said they wanted to do is that they said they wanted to have the Muhammad Ali Act revised. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to revise the Muhammad Ali Act in a way that would allow Dana White and TKO to operate in boxing in the same way that it operates with the UFC. But if you see what happens with the UFC have low pay, very little room to negotiate, right? You have guys like Francis Ngannou who had to leave the UFC, and when he left the UFC, he's pretty much out of work, right? Unless he goes to a rival league, then he has to fight within that rival league. So that's essentially what it is. In short, let me say what it is, just so in case you miss anything. Basically, Dana White and TKO, Turki Al-Sheikh, is trying to make it them is trying to overturn the Ali Act or modify the Ali Act in some type of way that would allow them to be the manager and the promoter of fighters at the same time, and or they want to have a ranking. They want to do away with the ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions, and have their own commission and their own fighters specifically and only with that particular organization, TKO. So I hope that explained it, because essentially that's it. I think that's a fair explanation of what the Muhammad Ali Act is. I think that's pretty fair. Shakur ain't being disrespected. Berlanga is probably the most known fighter on the card. He fought Canelo and getting knockouts, plus he's Mr. Ambassador. No, I have to disagree with that, Phoenix Assassin. I have to disagree with that. That's enough for him to be on the undercard. If Berlanga is known in New York, that's fine. However, he said you hit the hail. Controller Guru said hit right on the nail, Fanon. I needed to hear more about that. Yeah, no worries, man. I can explain the Ali Act anytime you want. Now, the specifics of it, sometimes it's referred to as when people talk about the Ali Act, they're talking about a piece of paper that the fighters have to fill out, letting you know what their purses are and what their earnings are. Because I think that's related to the Ali Act too. You have to have reporting, financial reporting on how much the fighter is getting paid. Sure, I don't really know if Berlanga is the most known. Well, I don't know if Berlanga is the most known. Why would you guys say Berlanga is the most well-known? I don't get a sense that Berlanga is more well-known than Shakur Stevenson is. I don't. But anyway, that's a good reason to put Berlanga as the second to main fight. The fact of the matter is Berlanga is probably getting fed to Shiraz in New York City. They're not going to try to, they're not going to try to, not as a, man, I'm not buying that, bro. Well, maybe I'll look into it, but I don't get a sense of that. I don't get a sense of that. I get a sense that everybody that knows Berlanga, bunch of people that know, everybody knows Berlanga knows who Shakur Stevenson is, man. Berlanga doesn't have some big fan base outside of the sport of boxing. All you may say that he may be able to convert sales, ticket sales in New York. That may be it. But dude, you're feeding him to Shiraz. You know Shiraz is going to win that fight. He's going to beat Berlanga. Come on, man. Shiraz is going to beat Berlanga. I would be surprised if Berlanga beat Shiraz. I would be surprised. Yeah, exactly. Tommy Jr. is definitely not more known than Shakur. Yeah, I don't buy that, bro. I don't buy that he's more well known than Shakur. I think Shakur is very well known, bro. Shakur and Stevenson fought in front of 800,000-900,000 people on ESPN on multiple occasions. I don't know that Berlanga's probably never done that. Berlanga didn't get bigger viewership numbers on ESPN when he was fighting on ESPN during his knockout streak. And that knockout streak was a while ago. Berlanga been on pay-per-view though. So what? There's a lot of people on pay-per-view. Look, man, I don't want to go into some anti-Edgar Berlanga speech because I'm a fan of Edgar Berlanga. I like Edgar Berlanga. I've been talking about Edgar Berlanga for a minute. So I'm cool with Edgar Berlanga. So don't get me wrong, man. I don't want to make it sound like I'm anti-Edgar Berlanga. I'm happy for the young man. He gets an opportunity to headline a card in New York City where he's from. Congratulations to Edgar Berlanga. If Edgar Berlanga gets past Shiraz in New York, hey, man, that could be a big thing. So, yeah, that's a reason to put him up there. But at the same time, you've got Shakur Stevenson, who's a 3-division champion, who has a very real chance of fighting in one of the biggest fights in all of boxing against Gervonta Davis. I mean, I'm sorry. The positives for the reasons for putting Berlanga as the head of the card, I'm sorry. They're trumped by Shakur Stevenson. Because Shakur Stevenson's the more accomplished, more well-known fighter than Edgar Berlanga is. And Edgar Berlanga is from New York, so have him on the card. The people that are going to support Edgar Berlanga are going to come. I mean, it just, to me, no. And I don't find it being very, the fact that you also at the same time have the issue about his pay and the fact that he's no longer with Matchroom, he's with Lou DiBella. You have to put that together and say, nah, man, that's a good amount of disrespect, bro. Number one, Eddie Hearn's Turkey Al-Sheikh says he's not exciting. No, he's not exciting. The dude had a knock. I didn't see the fight, but he had a knockout win in his last fight on that card against whatever his name is, Patty McDonald's, whatever his name is, Patty O'Pherson, whatever his name is. I think it's deeper than that. I can explain it better later on when we chop it up. I mean, look, I can look at it, and from what I see, I would have Shakur Stevenson headlining the card. I would. Now, the fact that you say, the fact that he's leaving and he went to Lou DiBella could be a reason to say, no, now you're not going to be you're not going to headline the card. We're going to pay you the money, but you're going to be on the undercard. That just seems petty to me. I'm sorry. I believe that there's a significant amount. Josh Padley, thank you, man. Pull out Bandit. Thank you, Josh Padley. No, sorry to anybody that's a supporter of Josh Padley or Josh Padley. I didn't mean to be. I was being disrespectful, and so I apologize for being disrespectful. Josh Padley. But anyway, man, I just think it has to be a little bit of disrespect there, man. It just has to be because this man he's fighting William Zepeda. That's the reason anybody's going to buy. If somebody's going to buy the card, they're going to buy the card for that fight. I mean, not only are you putting Shakur Stevenson on the undercard, you're putting William Zepeda on the undercard, which tells me, honestly, the fact that you had that fight in New York is funny because you should have that fight somewhere out west. where Williams Zepeda can help sell tickets along with Shakur Stevenson. So, at a higher rate. Edgar has the biggest fight most recently. He got beat by, come on, man. Nobody's going to headline Yildirim because Yildirim fought Yildirim because Yildirim was on a pay-per-view with Canelo. That doesn't mean Yildirim's going to headline a card over Gervonta Davis. It's like, oh, Yildirim was on Canelo's pay-per-view. Gervonta, no, that's not how we're doing it here. We're trying to sell a fighter for the future, man. But that explains it. The fact that there is no future with Shakur Stevenson for Matchroom or Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh's future is with Shiraz, Shirazi Boozy, whatever his name is, man, Haraji. To me, it sounds petty. To me, it just sounds like he's being petty. Martin, Ludabella talked bad about Shakur to say he was boring. Yeah, he did. He said he was a great fighter, but he wasn't his taste. That's fair. I mean, that's fine. He's his taste now, though, because they're working together. Hamad Shiraz. Man, I know his name, Hamad Shiraz. The guy they fixed the fight for. I know who Hamad Shiraz is. He's the guy they fixed the fight for. He's the guy Turki Al-Sheikh said, 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds. Oh, man, you ain't lying, though. That Matias Puello fight, see, I would do this. I would have Shakur Stevenson and Williams Zepeda as the headline. The number 2 fight would be Matias versus Puello. And then the third fight would be Berlanga and Shiraz. To put Berlanga and Shiraz at the top, it's just, it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. It's like Turki Al-Sheikh thinks he can sell Shiraz to New York City. Dude, Hamad Shiraz is not going to be a big star anywhere but Saudi Arabia, buddy. It's not going to happen for him. Hunter Young back hating on Shakur. Shakur is not excited enough to be rewarded with bad behavior. He called Turkey's people towel boys, and Turkey is punishing him. He's petty. It's a towel boy. It's your towel boy. Man, you don't mind them some Saudi Arabia. I guess I did mind them Saudi Arabia. I guess that's a good point. I'm just saying that's the correct order for that fight. Thank you so much, Victor. The correct order for that fight should be Shakur Stevenson and Williams Zepeda, followed by Puello and Matias, followed by Shiraz, followed by Berlanga versus Shiraz. Y'all are just Shakur Stevenson haters. That's okay. I don't mind your Shakur Stevenson hate. I'm going to hold up the show. I'm going to put the show all on my back and be the only one with some goddamn reason going on about Shakur. I have to tell y'all that y'all are being biased against Shakur, and I'm going to put my link in the comment section right now to all my beloved Tank/Shakur haters. And Hunter Young, man, hit the link, man. You wanted to talk about something yesterday. I know you got a reason. I know y'all got reasons to hate. I'm just saying you hating because y'all know damn well that card should be Shakur versus Zepeda, Puello versus Matias, and then Berlanga and Shiraz. Hater number 1. What's up, man?
Hey, what's good in the haterverse today?
Chilling, man. Everything's good over here. What's up with you, man? How the kid? How the chilling?
I'm doing good. Got a birthday coming up this Saturday, so I ain't trying to ruin it with watching that Connor Ban and Eubank. So you know how them cards be, 8 hours or nothing.
Oh my God!
I'll probably go ahead and wait till I think it's gonna be like the main event around lunchtime, ain't it? But, them cards start early and run like damn near the whole day. Might be
I'm not gonna watch the whole
dinner.
card. Is it pay-per-view or is it free?
I thought it was free, but I have to check.
I'll check.
I have to check because I don't remember.
So why you hating? So justified is hate. As
I'm
to why
not. It ain't
Shakur
hate.
Stevenson, as to why Shakur Stevenson shouldn't be on the main event of that card.
I'm just thinking about it like from this perspective. Like when we looking
Oh,
at
hold on one
Shakur,
second.
right?
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Kamal says thoughts on Chavez Jr. trash talking Jake Paul. You have to send that to me, Kamal, because I haven't seen that yet. I
I
haven't
ain't
seen
seen
it
that
yet.
yet either.
I'll check it out. But I have to tell you that Chavez Jr. trash talking anybody, dog, that shit is hilarious. Jake Paul gonna kill that dude. Jake Paul
Uh,
gonna Jake Paul gonna beat his second ex-world champion.
and wouldn't it be funny if this was the fight that Chavez Jr. win by accident and then like his career get restarted?
Man, that would be funny. And Jake Paul could survive it. Jake Paul could survive it. There'd be a rematch. Jake Paul could
Oh
survive it.
yeah, man. Well, as long as he ain't getting high, walking around in the that elephant underwear like he was that one time
Oh,
when he done
hilarious.
got.
That shit was hilarious. He was training in his living room. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, man, this dude crazy. But man. Okay, so Shakur, man, I say a lot of this.
Hating ass.
Look, I ain't hating. I ain't hating. I'm just thinking about it. Like we got Alberto Puello, we got Subriel Matias, we got David Morrell. These are guys that people like, and we know them because we be following the sport. We know who they are. But like outside of hardcore fans that be watching boxing regularly, they're not gonna know those people. And then looking at Shakur, like all the stuff coming up on him since he moved to 135. And since he moved to 135, like should we just see his first win? Yoshino gets smacked the other day. We saw his last fight with Padley, and he's fighting with one hand. And then we seen his two fights before that with Haratunian and De Los Santos, and him getting postponed with broken hands and stuff. So it's like we got how many fights recently where people was like, man, this is boring. And then his hand issues. Like looking at that, people don't want to risk putting that on the main event and then killing that card. Because I mean, with the way that Turkey been going about this, I mean, yeah, Shakur is good, but like to get people in front of him that people want to see, you know how it is now. People talking about, man, we want to see knockouts, we want to see knockouts, and there's more to boxing than knockouts. But like the fight being in New York and with Berlanga being from that area, it makes sense. Like putting Shakur on the main event, especially if they're going to talk about pay per view, like that's going to be a gamble. And then like with the other fighters that's on the card,
Hey,
like,
hey, real quick. I'm sorry. Let me get
oh yeah,
Victor. If you can complete your thought, let me get this guy Victor, and then let Kamal go. You don't mind.
okay, yeah. I finish this part right here, right quick. I'm just saying, like when you look at it like that, it's a gamble because them other promoters, a boring fight for the main event can sometimes overshadow not just the main event, but like the other fights on the card. And like that's the last thing that you leave on people's minds after they watch the card. It's like, man, what is this? So it's not just the fighters in that main event. Like Zepeda running that risk of his market value being hurt. Because look at what happened with De Los Santos and Haratunia. We ain't hearing about them since they fought Shakur. I mean, De Los Santos is fighting Keyshawn, but I mean, shoot, how many people is excited about that? So yeah, it kind of rubbed people the wrong way, I think, and that's probably why they're not putting them as the main event.
What's going on, Victor? How can I help you, man?
Hey, good morning. Hold on. I got noise in the background. Let me mute, and then I'm gonna come back right back.
Hey,
Okay,
let me
sure.
let me pick up on what Phoenix was saying. I 100% agree with Phoenix. The worst optics that you could have is a stream of people leaving before the main event happens. I mean, you don't want, as Turkey or whoever's running the thing in America, the promoter, you don't want people to get blue balls and have everyone leaving before the main event. And so, in my mind, the main event should have been Matias and Puello, especially being in New York. The Puerto Rican Dominican element there, the rivalry between the two, both of them. There might be more Puerto Ricans in New York than in Puerto Rico, and Dominican Republic might be the same thing. Might be more Dominicans in New York than Dominican Republic. So that should have been the main event because you have a master class boxer. And like him or hate him, Puello, he at least he tries to bring entertainment to it. He's not in stinkers. Even with the Gary Antoine Russell fight that I thought could have gone either way, that was a very exciting fight to me. And then you have Matias, who's a knockout artist. So that's going to be a good contrast in styles. Pollo's not going to run away from Matias. He's going to be there in the pocket, evade and counter punch and try to outbox you. So I got to agree with Phoenix here. The worst thing you could do is have everyone, and you can't avoid it with the last few fights that Shakur's had, either booing or, getting filmed, leaving the arena before the main event. So they did the right thing here, just because from an optics standpoint, it would have been a disaster to have, because Zepeda's not what corporate media made him out to be. He's not this knockout artist. And then, he could have a lower punch output against Shakur, and it could be a boring fight, as Phoenix said. So I 100% agree with Phoenix on this point. And I did send you the Chavez Jr. Jake Paul stuff like a week ago when it first came out. So I'll send it to you again because I guess, you didn't see it.
No,
so.
I'm sorry. I probably forgot. If you sent it a week ago, I thought it was something today.
No, it was. Yeah, you could just when Google, you search my name, and I sent it to you. It was a number of different things that Chavez is talking smack in. And to follow up on Phoenix's point, what if we get the 12th round Chavez against Sergio Maravilla Martinez? I don't know if you remember the 12th round of that fight.
That fight was funny because, hey, I swear that Chavez had smoked and was high before coming into the ring and didn't realize that he was in a fight till like round 9 or 10. Just the way that he was looking, because it wasn't until round 9 or 10 when he actually started fighting. And then like all of a sudden in rounds 11 and 12, we're like, yo, where was this? Where was this the rest of the fight? So yeah, like if that ended up happening, it'd be like, yo.
Hey, first of all, y'all both smoking. But let me get because I'm gonna respond to you in a second.
And Fernand, go ahead. Let me say this because I gotta go here real quickly.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Let me say this. So you were thinking of not the incident where Chavez was in the pink underwear. You're thinking of with Chavez's first fight with Al Heyman, and he lost to that Polish guy, but he was in the hotel room with all these hoes, like 4 or 5 hoes, with his $4 million check. And then
from different
it turned
areas
out that Chavez was robbed after that. He was like smoking weed, and he had like 5 or 6 prostitutes in their hotel with him. And
it sounds like he would have been better with Oscar De La Hoya if he doing it like that.
Yeah, people.
Hey, let me get these last 2 guys, bro. Let me get these last 2 guys before you. But you called him, yeah. He was in with them hoes. You would be too.
Because Al Heyman paid him a bunch of money, and then he was after the fight. Chavez was like, "I got robbed," and people saw the video. It's like, because you had a bunch of hoes in the hotel room.
That's hilarious. All right, come on, thank you.
All right, I gotta go. See you.
All right, bro. Victor, and then boxing. I see boxing Atomico. What's going on, Victor?
Hey, good morning, my good brother, Fernand. Hey, Fernand. This is the second time that I've been on your channel. Last time it goes back to when you had Coach Kenny on, and and I you know what I mean. I got on because I wanted to say something to Coach Kenny, but I wanted to say this, Fernand. I'm not going to stay long. And then leave it to Kamal to change my mind and say, oh, maybe. But I'm going to say this. I agree with you about core should be the main card. And I say that because all those other fights on that card are just your average, let's see who wins fights. But in Shakur's case, with all the conflict and the going back and forth in the boxing world, especially with boxing fans, there's more of a curiosity. And sometimes curiosity is enough to sell a fight. But then when Kamal said what he just said, I said, oh, I never thought about that. Because if that ends up being a stinker, then, you got people walking out of the arena. I mean, because I don't know if Shakur's stink can be that stinky that it would make people walk out of the arena knowing there's 2 more fights coming on that are going to be worthy fights. So I'm gonna push back on what Kamal said and said you're taking a risk on having people walking out of the arena before the other 2 fights come on just because Core stunk up his fight. I don't think so. I just think that the curiosity and the and whether or not Shakur can do it, and the narrative that he needs to do it, and Shakur don't need to just win the fight, according to all the pushing back and forth in the boxing world. He needs to, what they say, step on him. He really needs to do this, and so there's going to be curiosity about that, and I think that makes that a much more interesting and curious fight than the other fights, because again, the other fights are just two good guys. Let's see who wins. But there's a real curiosity about whether Shakur can do what he needs to do. That's my perspective. So you're right. I agree with you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. All right, man. Thank you so much, Victor. Good to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, good to talk to you. I hope to talk to you again, Kamal. Fanon.
All right, brother. Get back, man.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
So he agreed with you, and Kamal agreed with me. So we tied.
Hold on 1 second. Man, first of all, I'm about to blow both you niggas out the water. Because I get to respond to what you said. Boxing Atomico, what's up, man? What's going on?
Good morning, Fanon. Thank you for letting me in. Look, I agree, and because as a second, with Shakur and Cepeda as the main not being the main event, because Shakur is gonna. Everybody said before me they're gonna start leaving, whatever, because Shakur's not gonna get out his game plan. I think it's gonna be a boring fight on the side of Shakur. I don't think he's gonna stay in the pocket, and the people that put the money, they know that. So this is mostly a Puerto Rican fight, and Dominican, and I think they're the ones that are gonna fill the arena. So I know Shakur has a father Puerto Rican, but I don't think that's a point there. But I think Shakur does. He doesn't. He's not gonna get it out of his game plan. He's gonna fight like that. He's gonna fight like he fought Nakatina, and he fought the Santos. But there's a difference here because Cepeda throws a lot of punches. So that's I think a good probability. I think the favorite is Shakur Stevenson, but right here there's a high probability that it's gonna be a better fight because Cepeda throws a lot of punches, and it could be a really close fight. And I have Cepeda winning the fight, not easily, but that's what I think. I think it's a good point that Shakur and Cepeda are on the undercard.
Okay. Appreciate you, Boxing Atomico. Thank you, brother.
But,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so would you like to say something else? Hold on, let me kick these dudes. Go ahead, Phoenix Assassin. I don't want to dominate.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. The only other thing I was going to say is like looking at the fights on the card, like the fight that would make the most sense, in my opinion, to put as the main event would be Matias and Puello. There's from a hardcore boxing fan standpoint. I could see why Turkey went ahead and went with Shiraz and Berlanga is because that Shiraz is his guy. Because Shiraz wanted to move up after his fight with Adonis, and Berlanga is available. So I mean, shoot, what better way to get your guy out there than something with Berlanga? And if he stops Berlanga, then okay, they can go ahead and hype uh Shiraz up like that. Oh, look, he moved up his weight and stopped the guy that went full 12 rounds with Canelo. And then try to set up Canelo and Shiraz because Bud and Canelo ain't been announced yet. So maybe that's his play. So that's the way that I'm looking at it. But for Shakur, the only thing I'll say is I think that at this point, like what that fight is going to come down to is if Zepeda can cut off the ring. Because if he can't cut off the ring, it's going to be another stinker. That's what it's going to come down to. And if Shakur wants the type of money that it seems like he wants, and if he wants to do like the whole free agency thing, he got to put himself in a position where like it makes sense to actually try to be a free agent, and he can have some type of leverage versus just being out there strung out to dry like Devin is right now.
Okay. All right. So thanks, Phoenix. I'll retort. I'll retort as I comment.
All right.
All right, brother. Get back. All right, so I want to avoid anything where I'd like try to insult anybody because Kamal's my dude, Phoenix is my guy. Definitely rock with Victor. My other dude, Kamal back again. He want to make sure he knew it was him. He's going to correct his point. What's going on, Kamal? I was going to correct your point for you.
Yeah, my point is, and I phrased it poorly, is that the worst thing that you could have on a stat card like that, the optics of people leaving before the main event because they got to see what they came for, especially in New York where you got a lot of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and that's going to be a big fight because of the rivalry between the two. As I mentioned, there are probably more Dominicans in New York City than there are in the Republic, the Dominican Republic. Same with Puerto Rico or close to it. So people, the worst thing you can do is allow people to see all the fights they came to see in reality, because though Shakur's from Newark, the Puerto Rican dad angle hasn't really played. He hasn't been able to really sell that as far as promotions are concerned. And so you don't want to put the card to where everybody gets to see those fights before coming to the main event. And then they have the option to leave. Maybe they do stay for the main event, but then, like with his last fight in his hometown, people start filing out in droves before the fight is over, and you have camera shots of that happening. That's what you don't want to see. So at least if you don't put Shakur as the main event, you're still forcing people to stay and get value and not have those optics of everybody filing out because he's not the final fight in the card. That was my point. So Victor, the guy Victor, is a great guy. I talked to him on KO's channel. Very intelligent mind, but I phrased that poorly. To my point is that they actually did it right, with the exception of having Hamza Shiraz. And we know why Hamza Shiraz is the main event against Bumlonga. A horrible fight, really. I don't even. Bumlonga clearly ducked Caleb Plant and to smoke it with the other guys. So that was my whole point there, especially in New York, where the Dominican and the Puerto Rican element is the business minds of those guys. The communities are going to come out. It's a huge fight there between Matias and and Puello. So you don't want to have Shakur being the main event, and you get all the other fights, some of them with more action, a lot of them with more action. And then you have Zepeda's Mexican. There's not a big Mexican community in New York, and he's not a big star to begin with, period. So that's not going to be a draw either. So you have all that working. I hope this clears it up. Want to get your thoughts on that, Fanon and Phoenix. Phoenix, you agree with me or not? Thank you. With that, I'm out. Bye.
All right, brother, get back. Okay, so let me comment on this. Basically, this is the argument that was presented, and I want to make sure that I understand and I clearly represent the argument that was presented. Is that Shakur should be on the undercard because Alberto Puello and Matias are Dominican and Puerto Rico, Dominican and Puerto Rican. Matias is Puerto Rican. Puello is Dominican, and it's a large Puerto Rican and Dominican population in New York. I believe that's 100% of a fact about that. The fear of people walking out before the main event takes place, and then the people that remain worrying about the fact that they may leave, even though they stayed for the main event, they may walk out at the end. That's basically the argument that I hear. Now, for me, and also Edgar Berlanga is Puerto Rican. Since he's Puerto Rican, he's in New York. There's more Puerto Ricans in New York than there is in Puerto Rico. Clearly a big place for Puerto Rican fighters. Something else that I agree with 100%. Here's my thing. All of the benefits that you name well, first of all, let's talk about the people coming to see the fight. The reason that it is on pay-per-view is the Shakur is a pay-to-fight. That's the reason they're charging $24 for it. They're not charging $24 to see Matias and Puello. They're not charging $24 to have Matias and Puello and Berlanga and Hamaz Shiraz. That's not why they're charging $24. They're charging $24 because Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda are on the card. All of the news around the fight and that fight card revolve around the fact that Shakur Stevenson is fighting William Zepeda. It is not revolving around the fact that Puello is fighting Matias. It is not revolving. The conversation is not revolving around the fact that Hamad Shiraz is fighting, or Berlanga is fighting Hamad Shiraz. Those are fighters that are going to get local people to come to the event. That is very true. There will be supporters of Shiraz, of Berlanga there. There will be supporters of Puello there, supporters of Matias there, and absolutely a large number of people that are coming to see those fights. But I think that it is a stretch to think that people are going to say, oh, here comes the Shakur Stevenson Zepeda fight. I want to leave. Because, again, the pay-per-view is being sold on the fact that Shakur and Zepeda are fighting. It's a discussed fight. So the idea that they are going to leave before that fight, I think, is a stretch. The fact that they're going to leave after during the fight, or that they may boo during the fight, I think that is a very reasonable possibility. However, once again, people are going to start booing after they've already bought their tickets and after they've already bought the pay-per-view. They have got, now you can walk away, and you're right, to finish the Assassin's point, that, hey, man, you don't want these people walking away and saying, hey, the last card was a snooze, the last fight was a snoozer, the last fight was boring. But honestly, I don't know how much weight that carries, because they say that about Gervonta Davis's fights very loud. It wasn't a good fight. It was a mismatched fight. It was this, that, and the other. But people still watch the fight. And the fact of the matter is, when you sell pay-per-views, which is the majority of the revenue that usually fights get, you have the entire West Coast of the United States that has large amounts of Mexicans that would watch William Zepeda fight. So no, I don't think that those reasons that were given are compelling to put Shakur on the undercard, because as long as you have those guys on the card, you should be able to get the local people to support them, because that's what you're looking for when you're talking about Puello and Matias. You're talking about the local Dominican and the local Puerto Rican fight fans. When you're talking about Berlanga, you're talking about the local Puerto Rican fight fans. You're not talking about large number of Puerto Ricans throughout the world so interested in Edgar Berlanga that they're going to buy a pay-per-view for it. No, it's exciting fights that make a good evening of fights. And if by the logic that we're talking about, then Pernell Whitaker should have never headlined a fight card, because you never know. I'm sure people are going to say, no, Pernell Whitaker was more exciting. But if I do the research, I'm confident that I will find people saying that Pernell Whitaker's style of fighting is not entertaining. In fact, I was, as in my research that I'm doing for Muhammad Ali, they basically were calling Muhammad Ali boring. And after his fight with Henry Cooper and Doug Jones, they were like, man, he's, because the fights didn't wind up being in a knock. The first fight with Doug Jones didn't wind up being a knockout. I think it wound up going 8 rounds or 4 rounds or something like that. And Ali didn't look good. And then in another fight, he fought Henry Cooper, and Henry Cooper dropped him. And so the big boxing writers of the time started talking about him as boring and saying, man, this may not, if he doesn't, do better or whatever, that his little skittish defensive style where he's moving all over the place, not some this the label that they put on boxers for being boring, they didn't just invent that. They put that on fighters all the time. They put it on Floyd Mayweather. They called Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s fights boring. They said, okay, he's going to be fighting this guy, whatever his name is. Let's say he's going to fight Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Oh, that's just going to be a boring fight. All he's going to do is jab, move. He's not going to engage. It's going to go 12 rounds. I guess, now the difference obviously between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Shakur is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a much bigger name. But still, if you go by the logic of the boring fighter and being worried about people walking away from the card saying it was a boring fight, they said that about Floyd Mayweather Jr. almost every fight. So I'm just saying, I don't personally find those arguments to be compelling as a reason to ignore the fact that the biggest fight on the card, the most significant fight on the card in boxing is Shakur versus Zepeda. Shakur versus Zepeda is a much more impactful, meaningful fight in far as the world of boxing goes than Puello versus Matias is, and definitely more than Berlanga and Shiraz, who is the main event. So, I have to say that I win this debate. I have to say, because I don't really see that any of that is a motivation, because you get the local by putting Berlanga on the card, you get local Puerto Ricans. By putting Matias on the card, you get local Puerto Ricans. By putting Puello on the card, you get local Dominicans. Right? But at the end of the idea that they're all going to walk away and leave because Zepeda is about to fight Shakur, I just think that's not something that is I wouldn't predict that. That's not a worry that I would have. You know what I mean? LeVar Aiken said, it's funny how these dudes say Shakur, a guy, wins every round of every fight. They did the same bull with Pernell and Guillermo Rigondeaux. Oh my God, I forgot about Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux, they wouldn't even let Guillermo Rigondeaux fight because they called him boring so much. He's only boring because he beats their favorite fighters. I mean, I have to agree with that, bro. Yeah, this is an easy win for you in this debate. Shakur got folks in their feelings. I mean, seriously, I think that those are all very, very good reasons to have those fighters on the card. Absolutely. But I think you could also replace those fighters. You can replace those fighters with other Dominican fighters, other Puerto Rican fighters. You could have Xander Zayas on that card and get local Puerto Ricans on that card. If you had Xander Zayas versus somebody, you know what I mean? So Shakur don't fight nobody's favorite fighters. Look, man, I'm going to rep Shakur, man. I'm going to rep Shakur because I think you guys are unfair to Shakur. I have to tell you, man. Gervonta is my dude, but I think y'all are a little bit unfair when it comes to Shakur. The best argument that I could see. Oh, yeah. Here you go. Make sure I didn't mess it up. I'll put it in there twice or 4 times. All right, there you go. I didn't mess up. There you go, KO. Name me people filing out early of Floyd's fight. Also, Rigo broke dude's jaws and took dances. Who walked out of his fights? Tiger Woods walked out of his fight. Hold on a second. Tiger Woods did. Hold on a second. Tiger Woods walks out of Floyd Mayweather fight. Yeah, I can't find the article right now, but yeah, I can name that one. It was whatever fight that Tiger Woods was at where people started filing out. Come on. That one. Ma'am, Butcher said Shakur sold 45,000 American tickets as an undercard. And my guy, Phenomenal Show, said I actually like Shakur in the ring, not outside because he's a clown. But he's delusional and crazy. That man don't fight nobody's fighters. Laugh my ass off. Hey, man, I can't argue with my guy, Phenomenal Show. My guy, we got Knockout Boxing and then Dean. What's up, Dean? What's up, Knockout?
What's up, OG? What's the deal?
Yo, what's happening with you?
I'm chilling,
Can you
brother.
hear me
What's
good,
up, man? I can hear you good. Go ahead and cook. Knockout was coming up first, and then you can cook, Dean. But before you do, let me get LeVar. LeVar said, I'm saying all y'all favorite fighters would stop running and fight him. Shakur wins hands down. That's my guy, LeVar, big time. So what's going on? What's going on, KO?
So I think that you're right. I just wanted to add to it with some more points to kind of give people some more perspective as well. Like the idea of Edgar Berlanga and Hamza Shiraz being the main event over Shakur Stevenson or Alberto Puello versus Subriel Matias being the main event. Them guys don't have fan bases like that, man. Like people not just showing up to their fights because of what country they from. That's number one. But specifically, since Puello and Matias aren't ahead of Shakur on the card, since he is the co-main, and it's really only Berlanga and Shiraz that we're talking about, bro. Shakur Stevenson has put 10,000 people in Newark, New Jersey. He's put 8,000 people in Newark, New Jersey coming back behind that. Edgar Berlanga's never fought outside of a 5,000 seat stadium in the city of New York, bro. The only time he's been in a stadium bigger than that was when he was on Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury's undercard in October of 2021. So that you can't give him those numbers in T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And then when he fought Canelo in T-Mobile in Las Vegas, obviously Canelo's going to do numbers no matter who he's fighting against. Berlanga is coming off of Ammo Williams' undercard, bro. Ammo Williams. And I ain't got nothing bad. I like Ammo, bro. Trained by Kevin Cunningham, one of my favorite middleweights, the most athletic middleweight. He just fought on Ammo's undercard down there in the Caribbean Royale Casino in Florida, bro. How do you go from Ammo's undercard to now you main eventing Shakur's card? And this is a fight between Berlanga and Hamza Shiraz that nobody in this chat even knew we were getting, much less asked for. We've been asking for Shakur versus Zepeda for years, bro. Literally years, going back to 2023 when Zepeda and Shakur first came on the radar, when Shakur Stevenson became the WBC champion in that vacant fight that he beat Edwin De Los Santos in. So to have Edgar Berlanga ahead of him is crazy, bro. Crazy to me. Then when we talk about Hamza Shiraz has never even fought in America, bro. Hamza Shiraz is literally only fought in the UK and in Saudi Arabia. And you're putting him ahead of Shakur Stevenson in his debut at 168 pounds against Edgar Berlanga, who when he was fighting in New York, he didn't even fight in the big room in Madison Square Garden. They kept putting him in the Garden Arena over and over and over again. And then the only time he's ever been the main event and did numbers was with Canelo Alvarez. John Ryder did numbers with Canelo Alvarez. Callum Smith, Avni Yildirim, bro. Everybody that fights Canelo does numbers, just like everybody who fights Tank does numbers because of who they are and what they bring to the table. So this shows that, number one, Turkey does not know what he's doing, because the one fight that you can sell on that card that people actually want to see, that people were asking for, that should be the marquee, that should be the ones that are doing like the final press conference and their names are at the billboard, he didn't put them on there. And it also shows that money come with a cost. I believe, and this is just my total opinion, I believe this is just because Shakur Stevenson lashed out at him. And this is punishment for that. That money come with, I feel like I control you. So when I'm paying you this money and you go against me, oh, bro, we're going to put you on the undercard. And then he's moving off of emotion. And then I'll end it with this because this is crazy. Shakur Stevenson is on the undercard to me because he lashed out at Turkey. Imagine telling somebody you're going to pay them a certain number, and then you renege on your word and change the number on them without telling them, and then you make them apologize for getting mad at you for you messing them over. That don't make no sense, bro. That's like if you slap me for none and I slap you back and then I apologize to you. That don't make no sense. Why would I be the one apologizing? Why would I be the one apologizing you slap me first? No, I'm like, that's crazy to me. So Shakur does not deserve to be on the undercard, bro. He should be the main event fighter, and not on emotions or because I don't like him. It's just because the numbers if you're looking at it from a business perspective, him and Zepeda have the best ability and the best potential to bring people to the fight, to make people buy the fight. Berlanga versus Shiraz does not have that potential because they don't deserve to be in this position. So
and I guarantee
that's what I got
you,
on it. I thought you did with everything you said, but that's really all I wanted to come up here and say, man.
Appreciate you, brother. And I do want to add something just a little bit on KO, because KO be cooking with serious facts, bro. Thank you, KO. Oh, I'm sorry, KO, you good? KO,
yeah. I'm dipping off. You got it, bro. You got it. I'm gonna go back to the chat.
All right, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Yes, sir. Only thing I would add to that is that, just because it brought to my mind, I'm probably going to turn that fight off after the pay-per-view. I'm probably going to turn off after Shakur and Zepeda. Myself, I'd be more likely to turn the pay-per-view off if I have to watch Berlanga and Shiraz, because I wouldn't break my afternoon to watch that damn fight. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't break my afternoon. If I had to go mow the lawn or do some work with some plants or something for my mother, I would do that before and then just watch that shit on replay. That's not a pay-per-view fight, Shiraz versus Berlanga at all. So whoever it was that said, oh, the only reason you're glazing Shakur, bro, let me tell you something, man. If Shakur was dead wrong, I would say Shakur's dead wrong. I would. I got no problem with that whatsoever. This is just about Turkey being a bitch. I agree 100% with KO. You can't tell me the fact that he's on the undercard is unconnected to the fact that they had that back and forth about the pay. And the fight is in not only, and I don't know when he was going to put him on the undercard. He might have been trying to pay him less money and put him on the undercard at the same time. Who knows what's going on with that dude? Because he's a liar, bro. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Dean? And then I'll let Believer in Yahweh. Hold on 1 second, Believer in Yahweh.
Hey, what's up, Phenom, man? I just wanted to say, man, I hope
I'm
that
sorry,
you
Yah House of Israel, DC. My bad. I read that wrong. Believer of Yah House of DC. Yah House of Israel, DC. Shout out, bro. I'll let you go on cook in a second. Go on, Dean.
Hey, Phenom, I just wanted to say, man, hope you're doing amazing.
I'm sorry, yeah. Kamal, I didn't say you were saying, no, you didn't say that I was glazing Shakur. Somebody else did. They got blocked. Somebody said the only reason that you're glazing Shakur is because you gave an interview. It was a guy whose name, it was like Robert Ruckus or something. I put out Robert Ruckus. I just put out. Number one, because the clown used my brother's name. I was going to put him out anyway. And two, because he's a bitch. But I wasn't directing that at you, Kamal, just so you know. And Jeep Red Boy with the $5 holler, brother. Thank you so much for that support. And give me one last second. And Jay Henderson said, Shakur just got to stop saying he want war and that he's going to knock somebody out. He's setting an expectation that he cannot deliver. Yeah, I can't argue with that. That is a very, 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 very real thing. And LeVar Akins again said, if y'all favorite fighters to stop running and fight Shakur, he wins hands down. Okay, go ahead, cook Dean. I'm sorry, I just want to get the people that support the channel with the do out of the way. Go ahead, Dean.
For now, I wanted to say it's good seeing you, man. I hope everything is okay, man. I hope your dad and your mom, Dukes, and everybody is doing very well, man.
They are.
How's your son doing, man? How's everything with school and all of that stuff? Is that going okay?
I mean, he's doing real well, man. I can't complain, man. He's progressing towards his goals in life, so I support what he does.
Man, that's my guy, man. I wanted to just say this, Fernand. I hear everywhere you coming from, KO cooked, and I agree with KO completely. My biggest thing, Fernand, where I feel like you're vindicated in a way, because you was one of the main, and just hear me out, Fernand. Because before Boots, before Shakur, you was telling everybody about Eddie. Remember, everybody was arguing about Eddie Hearn?
Yeah.
And I blame Shakur. I don't care if Turkey snaked Shakur. Is Turkey wrong? Yes. But we was telling Shakur to not go over there in the first place. Shakur was the one glazing them, Fanon. Shakur was the one saying Eddie Hearn was the best promoter in boxing and then leaves them 2 weeks later. And this is the problem people be having with Shakur. And the guy LeVar was talking about people stop running. Shakur Stevenson was offered a fight with Gervonta Davis. He turned it down and wanted a multi-fight deal with PBC. They didn't want to give it to him. The problem I got with that, Fanon, is you leaves Eddie and then sign a one-fight deal with Lou DiBella, who was trashing him on social media, Fanon. He was trashing Shakur. So you don't, because my thing is, Fanon, you wouldn't even be in this situation if you would have took the Gervonta fight. You would be where Lamont Roach is at right now. Gervonta Davis don't got no obligations after this fight. You want to know how we know that, Fanon? Because his obligation would be William Zepeda, who's already mandated to fight Shakur Stevenson. You want to know who else I know knows that? Shakur Stevenson. So you can't hit dogs holler. You can't be using Eddie as leverage and Turkey as leverage against Gervonta, and then things don't work out for you, and then your fans say Gervonta is running from you. It makes no sense. Because for now, what did Gervonta Davis say about a year ago, 7 months ago? They said, Gervonta, you want to fight Shakur Stevenson? He said, yeah. He said, little buddy know what he got to do to get the fight. And we all knew he was referring to him not being with Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn lied on Gervonta about that $20 million offer, 40 mil bill, what they call him. People forget the order of how these things happen. Remember, it was Eddie saying, I advise Shakur team to not take the Gervonta Davis fight. So the people that saying Gervonta running from him, but don't mention nothing about Eddie saying that he advised Shakur to not take the fight and that Shakur team advised him. Shakur said that part's not true. All I know that is true is that he was able to get the Gervonta Davis fight. He didn't want it because he was mad about the money, you're saying. He wanted multi-fights and all that. But then you go with Eddie and still don't get your money. Fanon, him and Jaron Ennis signed a month apart, Fanon. Jaron Ennis has headlined 3 times and got a unification since that date. Shakur Stevenson hasn't even fought under Matchroom. So you used the whole year to still not even get what you want, but was using those same people against Gervonta Davis. Remember, everybody, for unlimited resources. Remember this? Why Tank don't just talk to Turkey? Y'all forget.
I don't think I didn't forget that. I didn't forget that.
So Shakur got to deal with what he calls, Fanon. You can't say, yeah, I'm good over here. Yeah, forget you, girl. I don't need you. I got a better chick over here. And then she cheats on you. You can't blame your old girl. She tried to tell you. Your friends tried to tell you, don't go over there. Don't touch the fire. Don't touch the stove, Shakur. You not Terrence Crawford, Shakur. You need to humble yourself, Shakur. Now he's forced to get humbled. He was on 2 co-mains. Fanon, do you know the last time he main evented, he was with Top Rank? He still ain't get paid more than that $3 million that Top Rank was offering him. This is all facts. So I hear and I think Shakur is going to beat Cepeda clearly as well. But I just land my plane there, Fanon, because I don't like that people try to misplace the timeline of how we even got here. We're only here because Shakur Stevenson wanted to play hardball. Shakur Stevenson was on Fanon channel saying he would do everything he needed to do to take the fight. And if Gervonta Davis offered him the most money, he would take it if it was $6 million. And you was like, I mean, I don't even want to lowball you, Shakur, $6 million. He's not even getting that, Fanon. He ain't made more than Frank Martin and Lamont Roach. His last 4 fights combined, he hasn't made more than Frank Martin made in that fight against Gervonta Davis. So you can't keep using that as the thing against Tank, because at the end of the day, Cepeda could have tried to fight Gervonta Davis as well. Oscar De La Hoya and them ain't trying to get that mandatory mandated. They got the mandatory mandated that they want, because as me and you both know, Fanon, the WBC favors Latino and Mexican fighters. And I land my plane there. So
all right, Dean, make sure you come back more often, bro. I miss the energy, man.
Man, it's Fanon. I've been working so much, Fanon, and then when the time you come in the morning, I started working in the evening and the morning as well. So okay. But I always catch your playback, Fanon, like always. I'm still supporting 100%. I ain't missed the show. I just ain't been able to get up live, but I'm off today, so I was able to come pop up and catch you. And I finally woke up at the right time.
That's what's up, bro. Yes, sir. All right, man. I'll get back with you, man. Yes, sir. All right, Dean. That's my dude right there. Real quick, Phoenix Assassin said the fight should be free, but asking fighters for money they don't generate. Imagine taking leftovers at a cookout and the only thing you brought is yourself. That's me, man. I be taking leftovers at cookouts and I don't bring nothing. My guy Fame said maybe Shakur requested to be the co-main so he could be held responsible so he can't be held responsible for the flop. Further hurt his leverage in negotiations with Tank. I mean, I guess that's possible, Fame, but I don't think we have any information that's been released that would suggest that. But I appreciate you. Believer in Yahweh, then Victor. I see you, Victor. What's going on, believer in Yah? I'm sorry, man. I'm killing your name, bro.
Don't worry about it.
Hold on one
Don't
second.
worry about it.
It is.
Fernand.
Now I'm gonna get it right. Believer of Yah House of Israel, DC. Because I gotta believe you're a black Israel black Hebrew. So I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I get that right for the family.
Yeah, you can call me the butcher though. I'm in your chat. You can call me the butcher.
All right, the butcher. Got you, brother.
Yeah. So my thing is this. You know, the card, it is an excellent card. No matter who's the co-main or who's the main event or not. Shakur got the one thing that he wanted. He got his payday. So that probably was something Turkey was like, well, look, I ain't going to make you the main event, but I'm going to make you the most paid on the card. I bet you he's the most paid on the card.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, and see, so him and Turkey probably agreed to that. He probably said, well, look, Berlanga need to be the main event because that's how we could get him to fight also. But I'm going to pay you the most money. Money talks. Everybody knows that. But at least we getting the fight. You know, fans, some of the time, we got to sit back and we got to look and think that we not at that table. We not bargaining. We ain't negotiating. We ain't at the table. We don't know what happened. But I think that he took the most money and said, I'll be the co-main. I think he agreed to it. But at the same time, you got to look at it. Our race always want to use fire sticks. But the Latino race, they support more. So if you look at it as a money aspect, they support more. And now if you add Shiraz, he's an ambassador. He's going to sell tickets across seas. His people, they going to support him. So we got to look at the money aspect. We got to leave our feelings out of it. And we got to look at, hey, look, this thing was set up for money because they're going to get paid more off of the Latino community. That's how I see it. I don't think they disrespected him at all because they said he got a 7-figure payday, at least over $5 million. You think he mad? We the only ones mad though.
All right, bro. I
appreciate payday though. It's his biggest payday. Why would he be mad?
Maybe. I don't know if it's his biggest payday or not.
They talking about 6 to 7
That's
million.
that nigga Blue Blood, man. He said that shit. I don't buy it.
It wasn't Blue Blood. That was Dan.
Dan Raphael.
Dan Raphael said it.
Show me the check.
Yeah. It was a tweet though. Yeah.
Show me the $6 million. Show me the $6 million. I don't care what Dan Raphael say. These people been saying these dudes making $50 million, $100 million too. I don't believe that shit. I mean, not to disrespect you. I don't mean it at all. I'm just saying when I hear those type of numbers, that he's getting $6 million for William Zepeda, but they're gonna put him on the undercard. Like, if you're paying $6 million to somebody and they're the reason people are buying the fight, there's no reason not to put him on the main event. That's like saying I'm gonna invest the most money of the fight in the undercard. That mean. That's like that shit to me. That doesn't go beyond petty. Just because you're paying him the most money. If you're paying him the most money, he has to be the most value. And if you're really trying to make money, you don't put him on a card at all if you don't think he can make money. But that money is not definitely not coming from Saudi Arabian Arabs, because they're not even getting charged for the pay-per-view more than likely in Saudi Arabia. I doubt very much.
You gotta look at it, Fernand.
I do look at it.
Look at it though.
I do.
Puerto Ricans is not going to come to watch Shakur fight.
How do you know that?
He even said they don't accept him. He even said it himself. And
Oh,
Shakur said,
how
I'm
do you
gonna go
know?
fight
Dog, stop, man. You're
Shakur said
guessing at
it
that.
himself.
Bro,
And Shakur
Shakur
said
did
it
not.
himself.
Shakur
He
says
said
that
it
man, stop. Dude,
He said
there
it
ain't you
himself,
if,
Bernard.
dog, stop.
Quit
Puerto
repeating
Rico,
yourself.
dog, stop with that. You're trying to tell me the Shakur that Alberto Puello is going to be Alberto Puello or anybody with a Latino name is going to outsell Shakur because they're Latino? No.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Fernand. What I said is that he cannot get Puerto Rican sales. He even said it himself because he said they don't accept him. And you know, our people like the fire stick.
Bro, everybody fire sticks, man. Black people ain't the only people fire sticking. Mexicans fire stick.
But the Mexicans, they support better.
Man, you got some racial tropes going on here, dog. Because
I'm just telling you the truth.
No,
I'm telling you the truth,
bro. Mexicans ain't stupid, bro. Mexicans are fight fans, man. Mexicans are fight fans. Mexicans buy black fighters.
Hey, remember that I told you this, Bernard.
Listen to me. When they say that Mexican support, what they're really talking about is if you're out there in the West Coast and you have a boxing event, that they will come in droves to the boxing event, that they will help fill the stadium. In New York City, there's not a lot of Mexicans, so you don't have to expect that there's going to be a lot of Mexicans buying tickets. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans. There's a lot of Dominicans. So you say, okay, if I'm going to fill up an arena, I want the local people. I need people on the card that the local people want to see. So you get local people that are local to New York. That happens in every card. If somebody fights in New Mexico, on the undercard, there's going to be a bunch of young fighters from New Mexico because those fighters are going to take the tickets and they're going to go try to act people to buy tickets to the event. But when you're talking about pay-per-view, bro, don't nobody know Alberto Puello or Matias to say that they're going to stop their evening. And if you put a black man on a card, they won't buy it. But if you put a Mexican on a card, they will. That doesn't pan out. In the fact that the biggest name boxers and the biggest selling boxers in history have been black. If that was true, then Gervonta Davis wouldn't be able to sell tickets because they fire stick Gervonta to death. But Gervonta sells tickets. He's black. Anyway, I just got to disagree.
Gervonta always fight the Latinos too. He just started.
Gervonta Davis fought two black people in a row.
He just started
making shit up, bro. Gervonta
Davis
just fought two black fighters back to back.
And his most sales came with what race?
It came from a Mexican. But that doesn't mean he can't sell. Listen, that doesn't mean he can't sell without the Mexican because he did 400,000. Okay. He did 400,000 with Frank Martin. Nobody even knows who Frank Martin is. He did 400,000 with Frank Martin. He did 250,000 versus somebody that absolutely nobody knew in Lamont Roach. Gervonta Davis did a $6 million gate in New York City against a guy from DC. Come on, man, black guy from DC.
Because he known in New York City. Berlanga is known in New York City.
Look, dog, you're repeating tropes. You're repeating the things that you hear people say.
Is known in the New York City.
Exactly. That's why you put him on the card. You put him on the card.
That's why he's the main.
No, that's not why he's the main, bro. No. Look, Edgar Berlanga that fight would not be pay-per-view if Shakur wasn't on it. Nobody would be asking for the card, bro.
Man, so
I gotta let you go, bro.
What
because
I gotta let you go, dog. Pay-per-view.
Dog, I'm sorry. Bro, you can keep talking over me for about 3 more seconds. I listen to what you say. I disagree with it heavily because Gervonta Davis, obviously, Gervonta Davis proved what you said is wrong because Gervonta Davis is black. So is Lamont Roach. They fought in the same city that Shakur is about to fight in. They sold out and was the second highest event ever at the Barclays Center, and he's black fighting another black fighter. There was no Mexicans on the card. There were no in the main event. There were no Puerto Ricans in the main event. No Dominicans in the main event. But yet still people in New York poured out to see a black man fight, bro. I gotta let you go, man. That's the repeating of the racist tropes about Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and blacks. Mexicans support boxing, man. There's a bunch of Mexican Gervonta Davis fans, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were Mexican Shakur fans. Dude, don't be laying out the same racist bullshit that they put on us. What's going on, Victor?
Yes, sir, Fanon. Hey, look, Fanon, let me just say this before I get to a minuscule minutia point, but you know what I mean. I want to make it just real quick because we keep talking about what Turkey did to Shakur and how he, tried to lower his pay and then put him on an undercard and so on and so forth. I get to that, but let me say this, Fanon, and that's why I love you and your show. Because
thank you, brother.
I'm serious. Look, hey, Fanon, I'm 73 years old. Once you get that old, you make it that far, one of the many things you learn is how to cut through the minutia. And nobody does it better than you, my friend. So I appreciate you for that reason and so many other reasons. For that reason alone, that you get with, all of this calamity discussion and you slice right through all that, malarkey, so to speak, and get down to the real meaningful, substantive points of the discussion and move all that other minutia out the way. I appreciate you for that, Fanon.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. But let me just say this, and like I said, this is minor point, but let me say this. Shakur disrespected. I'm talking cultural now. I'm a cultural aspect. Shakur, yes, sir. Shakur disrespected Turkey Al-Sheikh, because once you start using that towel boy, you start getting real close to that other terminology they use about the Middle Eastern people, such as raghead, and sometimes they even attach that N-word to it, and they said all them raghead and the N-word.
Sand niggas.
Yes, and that too. Yeah, that's right.
They call them
So
sand,
what I'm
they used to
saying
call them
is,
sand niggas. When I was a kid, they called them sand niggas.
Yeah, that's right. So what I'm saying is that by Shakur using that language, he maybe unintentionally, didn't deliberately or intentionally wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but by using that language, that gets too close to that, sand niggas and all that, and that's disrespectful. And then in that culture, you cannot disrespect any man in that culture and get away with it. Because then it becomes a matter of their principle, their cultural principle is that you have to be punished for it. You cannot get away with it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way is not enough. It's their rule, their principle that you must be punished. It doesn't mean that it has to be dramatic or severe, but once you disrespect them, you must be punished for it, no matter how minor or whatever, it may be. And by the way, I also thought to myself, well, maybe when Shakur used that, sent the towel boys to inform me, he might have been talking about Eddie Hearn. I was thinking that Eddie Hearn is the towel boy.
Can I make a point? Can I just to illustrate your point a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Because I think you're cooking with extremely high grease, and I want to make sure that I'm not hypocritical. So I say this because I didn't really talk about it a lot, because I know what he meant by towel boy. It's the dude carrying your towel, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what he meant. But same thing, dude. When British people call black people boys, like when Conor McGregor called Floyd Mayweather a boy, and black folk got offended about it. Every time somebody messes around, calls a black man a boy, I say something about it every time. So I think I appreciate you bringing up that point, because yeah, that is most definitely way too close to calling him something that he'd be insulted by.
That's all I'm saying. It just came too close. And so when you consider it to be a term of disrespect, which is what people do, we all do it. You know what I mean? I mean, we can call each other the N-word in endearment, because we've altered that word to make it something that we can embrace instead of having to be, you know what I mean, ashamed of it and so on and so forth. It's like, you know, well, you get my point. But I'm saying, but you can interpret that because it's too close to. So that's all I'm saying. And then, but the point is, though, is that because they felt disrespected, they won't allow a simple apology to stand. They've got to. It's their principle. They got to inflict some degree of punishment for their principle. So that's all I was trying to say for now.
Thank you, brother. I agree 100%. I will not glaze Shakur and over it and underestimate. Sorry. I will not, you know what, like your boy said, glaze Shakur and deny that that's the truth. Yeah, that could have been very offensive to that man. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for now for dropping that second link too.
For sure. I'll drop some more for people. Thank you, brother. Peace.
Yes, sir, brother.
Deem in the building. What up, Deem?
Hey, Fanon, I had to address this because when people say
I'm gonna listen to you from about a step away and go on.
Go get your coffee or whatever. Fanon.
Thank you, bro.
Okay.
Thank you. You can cook for a second. I know Deem need time, dog.
I wanted to say this to all y'all: to sit up there and lie on Shakur Stevenson like that and say that he said he don't get accepted by Puerto Ricans. Phoenix, you want to know how that's like a blatant lie? Why people should just think before they talk. Do y'all know who Shakur Stevenson' best friend is? Watch this. Phoenix, watch this. Do y'all know who Shakur Stevenson' best friend is? Edward Berlanga. So when you come up here and say he don't get accepted by Puerto Ricans, and he's half Puerto Rican, I might add, but his best friend is the main event. A lot of Puerto Ricans, they rock with Shakur. So that part right there just wasn't true. And then when the homie was saying that black people don't buy pay-per-views, Phoenix, I feel so offended. We buy more pay-per-views than everybody.
Man,
what are you
I'm
talking
saying.
about? We buy more pay-per-views than everybody. The two most popular fighters that ever walked this earth was Floyd Mayweather's and Muhammad Ali. Phoenix, can you tell me what complexion they are? Can you tell me what race they are?
Look pretty damn black to me.
I'm just saying, black people don't buy fights. That shows me, Phoenix, that people don't go to fights. Because if you went to these fights, you would see a lot of black people.
Hell yeah.
I'm just saying, Phoenix. I went to Gervonta Davis fights. I went to Jerron Boots in his fights. Phoenix, it was 70% black people, and Bam Bam Rodriguez was the co-main, just to put that out there. And Philadelphia on the East Coast got a crazy Latino community over here.
Hell yeah. So it's always going to be black people and Latinos that's showing up the most in fights.
Yo, Phoenix, and you know me and you be on Shakur Helmet. I will not let somebody just come up here and lie on the young man and say he said he don't get accepted by Puerto Ricans when his best friend is the main event. And last time
guys,
I checked,
I never heard him say that shit.
Yeah, like Phoenix, last time I checked, ain't Edward Berlanga Puerto Rican?
Yeah, unless they say because he lost to Canelo, he don't count no more.
Ain't Shakur Stevenson half Puerto Rican? I don't even know if homie knew Shakur was half Puerto Rican.
Yeah, but people don't really talk about it a whole lot, though.
Because his dad wasn't there. His mom's black. His dad's Puerto Rican. His dad wasn't in his life. So that's why it don't get talked about. But that's a minuscule point. My thing is Puerto Ricans get behind Shakur because they feel like he's kind of theirs as well. Because Shakur don't trash the Puerto Rican. His best friend is Edward Berlanga. So to sit up there and be saying blacks don't buy pay-per-views and all that, the biggest pay-per-view stars have been black.
Yep, that's fact.
Like,
that's fact. The only exception out there was Oscar De La Hoya. That's it.
It's De La Hoya.
Besides Oscar De La Hoya, all the big pay-per-view stars. Oh, well, you could maybe throw Pacquiao in there.
You could throw Manny in there, but Manny don't even count because he's not Latino. We talking about Latinos.
Yeah, he's
and black.
Filipino.
So
But
you know what I'm saying,
after
man?
that, it would have to be Cotto, but he's Puerto Rican too. But yeah, man, like all the big pay-per-view stars in boxing have been black, like most of them. You say 90%. Because like I said, outside of Oscar De La Hoya, Cotto, and Manny Pacquiao, I can't think of another big pay-per-view star that wasn't black. Like it's just those three and then black people.
And who's going to be the next pay-per-view stars coming up? The new stars in boxing right now, Phoenix. Who is, just get me off the top of your dome, besides Tank, because he's in the midst of it. What
Yeah.
2-3 fighters you think right now, Phoenix, that's not there, but you think could be pay-per-view stars in the future? Can you tell me who you think those couple fighters are?
The first two that come to mind, if they market it properly.
Mm-hmm.
If they market it properly.
Yes.
I could say Abdullah Mason.
Mm-hmm.
I could say maybe Kermel Moton, but I got to see some more from him.
Me too. Yep.
And then after that, it's kind of iffy right now because of his last few fights. But I think they could probably do something with Keyshawn Davis.
I like that too. Do you mind if I put Jerron in there as well with them all, bunch them all together right there?
The only reason I left Jerron out is because he's 30-something fights in.
Yeah, he got a lot of fights in. Yes.
And I don't really know how much further he can go because he kind of at the same point that Spence was at whenever he fought Bud. Like once it got to that point, except not as accomplished, and that's through no fault of his own because it's not like he could have just jumped in the mix. Whenever
he was
Bud and Spence about the fight.
His birth certificate, Phoenix. He just was born at a time where when he was on the upcomings, 147 was as hot as it ever was. And then once he got to the pinnacle, 147, they all left out. But look at this, Phoenix. Let's say he gets undisputed and goes to 154 and then start beating those guys. Then the whole dynamic changes, though. So that's why I give him like a 10-20% chance. And I just brought that up because everybody that you named was all black.
Yep. Hey, that's facts.
That's why I set you up like that, Phoenix. Everybody you just named was two of them I knew you was going to say. They all black last time I checked.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, like, that's crazy because, like, the only, like, in this era right now, like, shoot, as far as non-black people who probably could have been pay-per-view stars, I mean, shit, Lomachenko missed his opportunity. That was just a shame for him.
Yeah, because Bob was trying to stick over there on ESPN and because he had that deal with ESPN instead of trying to go get his own bag. And Phoenix, let me say this because they was up here talking about this and this kind of it kind of just ruffles my feathers a little bit. Because when we sit up here and we talk about these fighters and people act like everything is an attack on these fighters, when we try to tell you about business and then you go and do bad business and then you complain about the business, you can't complain about getting critiqued about it. Remember Dennis Schroeder a couple years ago, Phoenix, he turned down that big deal and then he never got a deal like that again after, and people in the NBA clown him. It's for a reason. Shout out to manager Marty. Good representation means something in boxing. We criticize Tank Davis. Boxing is the only sport where you can have great representation and people use it against you. Watch this, Phoenix.
Man, I probably know what you're about to say too.
Because he had Floyd. First thing they say, well, he only a star because he had Floyd. That's good that he was with Floyd. That was a good move by Gervonta Davis. That wasn't bad. That's a good thing.
And you know what's crazy about that? You know what's crazy about that? They want the same people, the same ones who want to say that Floyd passed the torch to Devin.
Yes.
Damn, come on.
And then when he was talking about the Mexican thing, the guy that was up here, do y'all know who Canelo Alvarez's favorite fighter is? Somebody tell that guy who Canelo Alvarez's favorite fighter is if y'all know who his favorite fighter is, besides himself. Since you say you talk about the Mexicans and blacks don't support, Canelo Alvarez's favorite fighter is Gervonta Davis. In case you was wondering. Ask
We see
David
him in the locker
Benavidez who
room.
his favorite fighter is.
Right?
You
Come
know what's so
on.
crazy? Coach Calvin Phoenix and Coach Kenny had an interview about a year and a half ago, and they was actually in Mexico. Do you want to know what Coach Calvin and Coach Kenny said? I think Fanon saw this too. You want to know what Coach
I missed
Calvin
that
and Coach
interview.
Kenny said? They said, man, everybody down here knew who Gervonta Davis was. And you know how I believe him? Because Canelo Alvarez speaks very highly of Gervonta Davis. A lot of the Latino fighters, they like Gervonta Davis because of how he fights. So Gervonta actually gets criticized more from his own community than he does from the Mexicans and all of them. They actually like him. Ask Noah Inouye, Bam Bam Rodriguez, David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez. Fanon, do I have to keep going?
You can if you want. You preaching to the church.
See, this is when you gotta think and do your research before you talk. Stop speaking on things and you have no idea what you're talking about. Talk about Mexicans only want to support boxing. The lie detector determined that is a lie. Name me the last 2 Mexicans on a main event that did all of these pay-per-views. Can somebody name that fight for me?
The last one that I know of was Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Wow. How long ago was that?
A long ass time ago.
I think that might have been 2018.
Yeah, it's a long ass time ago is what it was.
And Canelo don't even count because Canelo could fight me and we gonna do 500,000. I guarantee y'all, they said Canelo versus Dean by any means in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo, it'll sell 500,000, guaranteed.
Hey, real quick, LeVar Aiken, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Said Haney fans are on here mad because he ran out of the ring when Shakur piled up. Not true. There are no Haney fans. But the Haney haters, I agree with you. Tank fans will be salty after Shakur gives them a boxing lesson. Yeah, we would be very salty after that. I have to admit.
See, but for now, they try to make it that you gotta like one or the other. I like Shakur Stevenson. I like Tank more, but I like Shakur Stevenson. I like Earl Spence more than I like Bud Crawford. For now, this is the thing where they start lying on people. When Earl Spence lost, nobody made excuses for Earl Spence. Not one Earl Spence fan went in the high, and we all was still up here the very next day. So to act like people if Shakur win, ain't nobody rooting against Shakur. You got to be super popular to be hated. That's number one. So all of this Shakur and Devin gets hate is lies because Floyd Mayweather got hate. When you get hate, people buy your fights. Name me all the most hated fighters in boxing, Fanon. They was very popular, wasn't they?
We start with Muhammad Ali. He was the most hated.
He was the most hated. Mike Tyson, you ever heard of him?
They call him an animal.
I'll take your kids. And he said a bunch of stuff I ain't gonna say on Fanon channel, but y'all understand.
Sonny Liston was hated.
Sonny, Lord have mercy, and he was revered at the same time. That's how Muhammad Ali got as popular as he is. I'm pretty, I'm the greatest in the world. Do y'all know what fight that came after?
It came before the Liston, but it came everybody saw him after the Liston fight for sure as a champion.
So it's just
they hated Joe Louis too.
Hated Joe Louis. Phoenix, they hated Joe Louis.
The way they hated that man.
So it's just
after I get done with my Ali, I'm gonna bring George Foreman Joe Louis into that too. But yeah, Joe Louis was loved by black people, man. Like crazy loved.
Hey, Fanon, that was my grandfather's favorite fighter, man. My grandpa was born in 1925. He didn't want to hear nothing about nothing. All he knew was Joe Louis, Fanon. He ain't want to hear nobody was better than Joe Louis. He'd get mad. But I just wanted to come up there and cook on that, Fanon. When people come on your platform, and I appreciate you checking them, because Fanon, you be trying your best to be patient. I be seeing it on your face. Yeah, then you just got like, all right, hold on, man.
I didn't hear your Deem. I didn't hear your entire last cook. And Butcher, bro, please come back up again, man. But dog, don't slip no shit that in there that ain't true. Okay, like when I heard you say that Shakur admitted that he doesn't sell with Puerto Ricans or they don't accept him. Dude, you were conflating some shit. First of all, even if he said it, If he said the Puerto Ricans don't accept him, doesn't mean they don't watch his fights. It just mean they don't accept him as a Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? Because guess what? Shakur Stevenson does not identify as a Puerto Rican. He identifies as a black person. We had those conversations. Any conversation around Puerto Ricans and Shakur was about that. The fact that his father is Puerto Rican, but he wasn't raised with his father. And he considers himself to be a black person. They actually started trying to promote him as a Puerto Rican person. And it really didn't go anywhere. But to just come up here and tell me some shit that's not true to support your argument, bro, just like Victor said, I'm gonna cut through all that minutia, all that bullshit, dictum, all that other dumb shit that don't mean nothing, and get right to the point. Black people buy fights. Okay, that's why black fighters are the most popular fighters. The thing is that when they say black fighters don't sell, and I did this on Blue Bloods channel years ago when they tried to, when not him, but somebody else said that, I was like, look, somebody explained what it was. They're saying that black fighters will not actually sell tickets. That black fighters, and if you put on a local show, a black fighter is not going to go up and down the stairs of local apartment buildings, churches, and all that to sell tickets to their friends and their relatives. That's what they mean. Versus like if you in Chicago, if you put on a Polish fighters are going to sell in Chicago because there's so many Polish people. All they have to do is go make a couple appearances at some Polish churches, and before you know it, they're going to sell the stadium out. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about the fact that saying black fighters their pay-per-views are not bought. That's just not true, man. Because Canelo's biggest, just like you say, Mexicans are always there. Shit, what's Canelo's biggest pay-per-view? His biggest pay-per-view is against a black guy. What's Oscar De La Hoya's biggest pay-per-view? It's against a black Puerto Rican. It's against a black Puerto Rican named Tito Trinidad. So, like, no, bro. No, black fighters sell. Black people are interested in black fighters, man. And this idea that, and honestly, bro, I was insulted because you're basically calling black people a bunch of thieves and say, no, all we want to do is steal the fight. But the Mexicans, they'll buy the fight. Bro, that's not what the word means when they say black fighters don't sell. You're taking it out of context. And just from my Mexican friends, you're making an argument that they're so fucking superficial and they're so racist that they will only support boxing if it's their people that they're watching, which is just not fucking true. It's not true of Dominicans. It's not true of Puerto Ricans. It's not even true of black people. We sit up here and talk about fights that don't have black fighters in them all the time, like Bivol and Beterbiev, or like Usyk and Fury.
Morrell and Benavidez.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, and are asking for Canelo versus Benavidez. And a lot of black people are going to buy that fight. They can't sell 1 million pay-per-views, 1 million pay-per-views without black people. Nobody sells 1 million pay-per-views. Oh, very rarely are you going to see 1 million pay-per-views touched where there's not a black fighter in it. Yeah, they give you guys give 100% credit to Gervonta Davis, to Ryan Garcia for what Gervonta Davis did. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You guys just want to listen to any bullshit fucking explanation for why black people cannot succeed or black people don't succeed. You buy into all of the tropes and all of the bullshit that they put on black people, and you spit that shit right back at me. And I'm sorry, bro, I don't have no fucking patience for it, because I know that my channel is, and basically all of my life, the thing that I'm trying to do is supported by black people. So black boxing fans that come every day, that support every day with their money. You cannot tell me that we're a bunch of fucking thieves and think that I'm going to miss that that's what you're saying. You might miss that that's what you're implying, that you can't trust black people to actually buy fights. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No,
man.
I was going to say that the part that you missed when you was going, he literally lied in the first sentence that he said. He said that the Puerto Ricans don't support Shakur. Do you know who Shakur Stevenson's best friend is, Fanon? Take a wild guess at who Shakur Stevenson's best friend is.
Edgar Berlanga.
Oh my God. people a lie. Like, did he think about what he said before he said that? Ain't Shakur Stevenson girlfriend Puerto Rican or half Puerto Rican or something like that?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this though, whatever Berlanga's walking around with, we need more of that in the world.
Nah, for sure.
Yep.
For sure, dog. I'm not even gonna lie. For now,
Hey, go to Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico.
Man, I gotta give Edward his credit on that. I'll never listen. Listen, Edward, you the champ when it comes to that, my guy.
Hell yeah, you winning the game with that one, bro. That's for
Hey,
sure.
if he got that, no wonder he's celebrating after Canelo. Because I mean, shoot, in the face of defeat, if you got that by you, you can't lose.
Yeah, he went home smiling. He got a check. He like, baby, we going out the Red Lobster tonight.
Yeah. Jay Poppy.
Cheesecake Factory.
It's okay, Poppy.
But no, Fanon, I wanted to say the part that they get up here and lie. At the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez's favorite fighter is black. David Benavidez's favorite fighter is black. Gervonta Davis' favorite fighter is Mexican, which is Canelo Alvarez. One of his other favorite fighters is David Benavidez. When y'all sit up there and push these narratives on us as black people, on us as Latinos, especially the Afro Latinos, they don't deserve that, bro. The Sabril Matias of the world, the David Morrells of the world, they don't deserve that conjecture.
The
Rigondeaux, they don't deserve that, my guy. It's just like that's just a blatant lie. And unless you come from where we come from in areas like Chicago that got a big Mexican population, or Philadelphia on the East Coast that got a big Puerto Rican and Mexican population, bro, stop it. I got Mexicans that live across the street. They give me they give me Modelo's all the time.
Exactly, and know who the fighters are and everything.
Oh, they love it, Fanon. They big, like Mexicans. They really support the sport the same way we do. We are the two cultures that keep the sport going, and I'll say Cubans as well. I don't want to just leave the Cubans out because they play a major factor as well. But to put that, we all support each other, and that's the actual truth.
Exactly, and in New York, especially, they support each other. Like New York, like Berlanga uses the N-word like non-fucking stop, bro. And he doesn't use it in the way that people use it, like with hard R's and all that shit. That's where he was raised. Those are the people he's raised around, man. I never saw any great segregation between Puerto Ricans and blacks anywhere I've ever been.
It's not.
Honestly. Yeah, never. Has there ever been?
Only
like,
difference between them and us is a boat ride.
Well, for now, I grew up in a Puerto Rican neighborhood, like where it's half black, half Puerto Rican. One of my best friends that passed away, he's Puerto
Rest
Rican.
in peace.
Rest in peace to my man Felix.
By the way, my mother wanted to chime in about that topic about Shakur, and she said, don't forget that they also would call Turkey Al Sheikh's people us camel jockeys. That was the word.
Right.
Camel jockeys is what we were looking for. Yeah, man, dude, I grew up around. Bro, they used to. I'm telling you, I heard every racial epithet that there was when I was a kid. They were sand niggers and camel jockeys. You had, the Jewish people had a bunch of names for Jewish people, a bunch of names for Italian people. A bunch of that stuff was flying around with each other, man. So, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, dog, we were all in the same neighborhood. So best believe if something popped off in the neighborhood, we was all fighting together. So there was a little bit, there's more connection between people in the United States than you think that there are.
But now, can I just address this? Somebody in the comments, this is when I know people don't know what they're talking about. They said, since when do Philly have a big Mexican population? In the last 10 to 15 years, sir, they've migrated heavily over here. I got Mexicans that live across the street from me right now. My kids' school, my kids' school, it used to be all black. There's a lot of Mexicans little girls that go there now. My daughter, one of her friends, right down the street, little Mexican girl. So unless you outside, this is people that must be staying in the house, just go to work and come back home. So you might not see it, but they've migrated very heavily in this northeast region. And anybody that's outside could tell you that I'm telling you the truth. Who you think built? All right, how about this? Whoever said that in the comments, go walk past a house that's under construction, then tell me it's not a lot of Mexicans.
Man, cool. All right, bro.
Thank
you for cooking, Dean. Appreciate you, bro.
You're welcome, my God.
All right, man. What's up, Phoenix?
Oh yeah, what's up, man? I was going to touch on one thing that Dean had brought up that I agreed with, because I was looking at that on Twitter last night, and this whole situation about Shakur and Lou DiBella, things with Eddie Hearn and what supposedly was or wasn't offered for a fight with Tank. Because one of them things for me where it's just like, okay, we seen that Shakur wanted a multi-fight deal, according to Steven Espinoza. Like Espinoza came out, and let him know, like, hey, they had this offer supposedly to fight Tank, but they wanted it to be a multi-fight deal. When Shakur went to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn, had supposedly promised, a multi-fight deal. It would be one fight, then Zepeda, then Tank. And now Shakur ain't even, with Eddie for this debate fight. Lou DiBella, and I guess I don't know if it was Dan Raphael who had said it or someone else. Like when it was initially reported that it's going to be on a fight by fight basis. So it's not even like he got multiple fights with Lou DiBella. He's going fight by fight. So it's a thing for me where it's like, okay, you're trying to do this free agency thing, like take control of your career and all this and that, and saying you won't take a one fight deal, for Tank, but then you taking one fight everywhere else, and it's against people that ain't going to bring you as much money as you can with Tank. And on top of that, ain't even headlined the card, been out injured, and all this and that. Now, like you coming back on the undercard again as a co-main, 2 fights in a row. And for me, it's just a thing like this fight with Tank and Shakur. Me personally, I feel that if it doesn't happen, it's going to come down to the financial part of it, just because everything's going on. Because we already know that Tank ain't worried about whether or not he can generate. That's why he's headlining, and that's why his fights are on pay per view. But then as for Shakur, that's another reason why I feel this Zepeda fight is important for him. Because I know like some people is feeling like, okay, he has to look spectacular, all this and that, or he just needs to get the W. He doesn't need to do anything else. The way that I'm looking at it is this: like if he wants a leg to stand on, as far as talking about what he will or won't accept, if it comes down to what the split's going to be with Tank and they in the middle of negotiations, he's going to need something he can stand on because with his hand problems and then everything else, like it might be at a point where they're going to cash him out, because apart from Tank, like if Tank does end up retiring, there ain't nobody else to build up Shakur's name off of unless he's going to move up to 147, but he's at 135 right now. Like they could probably talk about Devin Haney, maybe Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, but without somebody else because of the way they've gone about it is saying like, hey, he Tank's been ducking him, and this is the one guy that could put Gervonta Davis in his place, finally beat him because Gervonta don't got the technical ability, whatever. Like they went the wrong way about it. Because after Zepeda, I think it's highly unlikely that he's going to fight Keyshawn unless they have some type of feud. I'm looking, and like I said, looking at this and being realistic, it's like Shakur is in a position where nobody feel like they can put him as a headline event, and it seems like he's kind of asking for a lot more money than what he's bringing in. And then other promoters got to look at that. It's like, well, do I really want to put my guy on this undercard if we don't know if the main event is going to sell? And then what can we do for pay per view? What are we going to do about the live gate being brought in? Like all these promoters got to think about that. And it's not to knock on Shakur's skills because nobody can deny that what he do in the ring is better than 90% of the other people out there. But as far as marketability, it's like one of them things where I feel like he might not have a place to go if he wants to be a free agent, and he might not have a lot of people willing to work with him if he's not willing to come down in whatever prices he asking for. Because like the whole thing with Turkey and what he has said about not it was one thing, now it's this. It kind of speak to me like he and rightfully so. He feel like his accomplishments have earned him more money. But like big on paper don't equal big in the bank. So it's kind of hard to see what happens, depending on the way the Zepeda fight play out. Because I don't doubt Shakur is going to win. I don't doubt he's going to win. You know, but what's the quality of the win going to be? Is it going to be like complete shutout and people is bored, or is it going to be like, oh damn, we ain't never seen this from him before, and his fight match up with his words? Because I feel like without a marquee performance like that at 135 against somebody that people give a damn about, like Zepeda in this case, which arguably is the first fighter he's fought at 135 that people seem to care about. Without that, it's like where does he go from there? especially if he's gonna be, blasting people for not paying him his money and he's jumping from promoter to promoter, kind of like Devin Haney was doing. And we've seen where that landed Devin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so that ain't a knock on Shakur, but for me, like, it just raises a whole bunch of questions where it's like, if you want to get to a certain spot, now sometimes you got to do stuff that you don't want to do, and there ain't nobody who's free from that. Everybody got to do something they don't want to do to get to where they want to be at some point, and maybe it might be coming down in price. Because, like I said, if Tank end up not sticking out, he go ahead and fight Roach, and then he done. Then shoot, I don't see anywhere else for Shakur to go, and that's just looking at the landscape of things.
Yes, sir. You're still hating though.
Are you think so?
Oh, definitely. Oh, I mean,
Nah.
yes, I'm 99% sure that's coded in hate, bro. There's logic
no.
behind it, but
I mean, if I wanted to be a hater, I'd say he a bum. And it's he a brittle-handed bum.
then you busting into liar delusional if you say that, because we know you don't. But all right, man, let me chop it up for a couple more minutes, bro, and I get back with you.
For sure, man.
All right, thanks, Phoenix, as always, brother.
Yes, definitely.
Big Dog Willie, Jake Paul paced the big. Let me see. Big Dog Jake Paul chased the big bag Tank Willie. What up, Big Dog Willie? Look, man. All right, I got to get back on this stuff for the last 10 minutes or so of the show. Thank you guys for your support in the show. I have to make a statement again, man, because I don't want anybody to ever think this. I am basically a black nationalist, and that I really do believe that black people need to be self-sufficient, that we really need to hone our resources for ourselves to the greatest extent possible. I know that you have to buy cars that are not made by black people. You have to buy food not made by black people. But when you choose your entertainment, you choose your music, you choose your sports, man, we can choose that. And we have the best entertainers in the world, right? If not some of the best for sure, if not the best entertainers in the world, whether it's music, whether it's sports or what have you. And we enjoy our entertainment. So what I'm saying is not that although I support black fighters, and I support black fighters because I think it's important for us to all support each other, not to lie on each other, right? Not to mistreat each other. I'm not saying you got to buy every fight. Not telling you what you have to do. All I'm saying is that we shouldn't mistreat each other. We shouldn't lie about each other. We shouldn't make up fake numbers about each other. We shouldn't have campaigns that are designed like Bill Haney designed with Blue Blood and Claymore and the rest of them to tear down Gervonta Davis. All I'm saying is we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't mistreat each other. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you got to support every black fighter that's out there. You got to give your money. You got to say positive things. You can't ever criticize. I'm not saying that. And so I don't think that what people are criticizing about Shakur about, as far as not necessarily doing what he said he was going to do, I think that that's a reasonable criticism, and I would never have a problem with somebody that does that, right? Now, the reason I say that is to talk about Mexican fighters. I have full appreciation for the skill set and the ability of Mexican fighters, but likewise, I have full appreciation for Mexican people and give them way more credit than other people want to give them. They are intelligent people that love the sport of boxing and support people outside their own race all the time. So just to continue to repeat these tropes that black people can't be successful unless there's a Mexican on the card falls in the face of all the facts. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm not going to be I'm not going to disrespect so in that vein, I'm not going to disrespect Mexican people by acting as if there's some monolithic group that is led by the nose by promoters and will buy what they're told to buy and not buy what they're told not to buy. So I'm just saying that to say, dude, I'm 100% behind Mexican fighters, man. 100% behind Dominican fighters, 100% behind Cuban and Puerto Rican fighters. And in fact, to me, a Puerto Rican fighter is just an American fighter, but when we just give into these things that are just repeated over and over and over again for decade after decade after decade without realizing, hey man, we might be repeating some nonsense. For example, I'm reading this book that by a Pulitzer Prize winning author named David Remnick about Muhammad Ali's life. And all of the facts are lined up. Like all of the facts, you can check it out. The things that were said. The things that happened did happen. But wherever you read this man's opinion, you can hear in his voice a certain arrogance as it related to the boxers that he's covering. The fact that he would judge, he deigned to judge what's in the mind of another man. It was I don't care how he lined up the facts. It was the fact that whenever he had any editorial room whatsoever, he skewed it against black nationalism and tried to make it look like Muhammad Ali was just this brain dead kid who would believe anything that was said by anybody that could manipulate him, instead of appreciating the man as an intelligent human being that by the time he won a championship had already had 22 years of life experience in segregation, as if he could not make up his own mind and he needed somebody like Elijah Muhammad or Malcolm X to teach him what he believed. And as soon as these people disappeared, all of a sudden he no longer believed it because the cloud of their lies had been removed from his eyes. All the bullshit y'all try to do to take shots at everybody while you lift up one particular individual. And that's what I see still taking place with boxing writers, still taking place with YouTube media content creators. You just oversimplify everything when you claim that, oh, it's a black fighter, it's a Puerto Rican fighter. So we want the Puerto Rican fighter because the Puerto Rican's going to bring all the Puerto Ricans. No. If a Puerto Rican fighter brought out all the Puerto Ricans for every one of their fights, bro, then you would have Puerto Ricans. You would literally have every pay-per-view event do a million pay-per-views every time a Puerto Rican popped up. Same thing for Mexicans. If Mexicans bought every Mexican fight and only supported Mexican fighters, then all of their fights would be doing a million pay-per-views. But they're not. So please cut the BS, man, and give people the credit where the credit is due. The fact of the matter is Shakur Stevenson is a well-known fighter. You may like his style, may not like his style. But the fact of the matter is, this is my opinion, the vast majority of the people that are going to pay money for this event, the $25 plus the membership that DAZN is asking for, are going to be hardcore black boxing fans that are going to want to watch Shakur. If you take Shakur and Williams Zepeda off that card, and you have the headliner being Edgar Berlanga versus Shiraz, followed by Alberto Puello versus Subriel Matias, dude, that's not going to be a pay-per-view event at all. Nobody's going to want to pay $25 for it. And they're going to be like, why are you doing that at all? They're not going to sell out. If they put it in the Madison Square Garden or they put it in the Barclays Center, they're not going to sell that place out because of Edgar Berlanga. If that was the case, Top Rank would have kept Edgar Berlanga, and he would still be fighting in New York, selling out stadiums for Top Rank. But that's not what happened. He was with Top Rank, and Top Rank let him go. So come on, man. Stop loading on Shakur Stevenson's plate a bunch of untruth. That's why I'm saying we don't need to mistreat fighters. Just tell the truth. When Kamal Oz gave his opinion, he gave his opinion. That's a valid opinion. It's also supported by facts, actual facts that he can support his argument with. Unlike you, Butcher, who came up here telling me things that were not true, things that you were obviously, even if they were true, you provided no context for, and tried to conflate what he most likely would have meant if he had said the thing that you claimed he said, but then we find out that he didn't even say the thing that you claim he said. Stop playing games, man. Stop playing games. It's okay for people not to support Shakur Stevenson because they think he's a boring fighter. Hey, he snoozed the place out versus Edwin De Los Santos. He did. I didn't see the fight, the last fight, but the guy got a knockout. What was he supposed to do against a guy like that? And I love Phoenix. That's my guy. But Phoenix seems to hold against Shakur the fact that he knocked out Josh Padley. I don't understand what you guys are doing. It's the same amount of criticism that goes on around Jaron Ennis. I just don't understand it. If we're boxing fans, you never know what's going to happen until a fight actually takes place. And there's always a risk that the fight won't be exciting, or you'll get some funny stoppage, or you'll get some cards. You know, people may boo because they think Shakur lost the fight. All of those things can leave sour taste in the mouths of fight fans after a fight takes place. But the operative word is those things take place after the tickets were sold and after the pay-per-views were bought. So, I mean, that's my take on the matter. And I'm not, oh, by the way, what's up, Rocky? What's up, Rocky? Rocky, my guy Rocky in the building. What up, man? I'm just trying to be fair. And I do, but I will tell you, I do accept the argument that Victor made. I accept that argument because Victor is saying, look, man, you can't disrespect somebody. And if they say, look, bro, I'm not making you the headliner, bro. I'm sorry. You're not going to disrespect me, get more money, and be on the headline? No way. I'm going to let everybody know that I demoted your ass because you fucking disrespected me. But again, you have to then think, if he did do that because he felt disrespected, it's still very arbitrary. I mean, people's feelings get hurt all the time. So people say things bad all the time. It's supposed to be a business. And if you're running the business, then you can't let your personal feelings interrupt the experiences of everybody else. So there are good arguments and bad arguments on the side of almost everything. And I mean this. There's good argument. There's arguments that you can make about almost anything. But if you're going to make an argument, make it a good argument. One that is based in actual fact, like Kamal, and actual fact and actual expertise like Phoenix the Assassin. If you're going to come up here and present an argument to me that is contrary to my rationale, bro, I'm cool with it 100%, as long as there is solid logic backed by actual facts. And your logic is important because I don't care what your facts are, because if your logic is screwed, then it doesn't matter what the facts are because you're using the facts in a way that's illogical. Similarly, your logic doesn't make any difference if you have sound logic, but your facts are not true, because you're making a sound argument based on facts that are not true. So your argument is false because the fact is not correct. So please don't bring me this weak-minded nonsense that y'all try to bring me, bro. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Like, Shakur Stevenson is the reason I'm going to buy that pay-per-view. And most likely, he's the reason that everybody's going to buy the pay-per-view. Williams, Zepeda, and Shakur. Because those are the two best fighters on the card. That's when the reports go out the next day on what happened on that fight, headlines are going to be what happened with Shakur and Williams Zepeda. The headlines are not going to be what happened with Berlanga versus Shiraz. And if anybody is in danger, I'm telling you, if anybody's in danger of having people leave the pay-per-view, it's because they already saw the fight that they bought it for. Oh man, I've already seen Shakur versus Williams Zepeda. Who is this Shiraz guy? Oh, yes, sir. Bird 101. Thank you, Bird 101, for the $5 holler. He says some support. And my guy Ralph Chestnut in the Cash App says channel support my guy with the $5 holler. Brother, thank you so much for your support. And I did get it. But look, I'm going to get up out of here. Much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. Thank you guys for helping me reach the donation goal in between Cash App and the super chat. We made it. So that was the last one. Thank you guys so much. Hey, Martin, these clowns just repeating the boring Shakur talk that Blue Blood says. Dude, Blue Blood is completely, I mean, like, I don't understand how you can make it even listen to the dude. Basically, I already see the argument that he's setting up with Shakur by picking $6 million is the number that's ruined, that's rumored. Okay, and I don't care if it came from Dan Rayfield either. That $6 million is way too close to the $6 million that we were talking about when Kenny was talking to Shakur. And they said, let's say $6 million. Would you fight for $6 million? So now Shakur is rumored to have made $6 million against what's his name? Against Williams Zepeda. So that means that if Shakur fights in his next fight, if he fights Gervonta, then that's how much he made versus Zepeda. That's where the negotiation starts. And I believe that that is a way to inflate the value of Shakur Stevenson ahead of a Gervonta Davis fight by spreading rumors about how much money he makes. That's what they constantly do. When they lied about how much money Terrence Crawford made, when they lie about how much money Anthony Joshua made, when they lie about how much money Tyson Fury made, they all get these reports about how much money these guys made. Then the number comes up later and saying Shakur got $6 million. That's the least he can make for Gervonta Davis. No, bro, that number is way, 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 way too close. And I don't believe in coincidences. I think you guys are coming up with another narrative out in the media because you guys are so media savvy that you know that putting these numbers, which are not real, out puts pressure on other people to pay that money. So stop that shit. I don't believe $6 million, bro. Because you know why I don't believe $6 million? Because he would have gotten a raise after saying he got a pay cut. Coppinger said that number was BS. I mean, that number smells like BS. It just smells like BS. It smells like the $6 million that we talked about on this channel. That's the number that they're using. I don't believe these people, man. I'm telling you, I don't believe these dudes, man. They lie about every fucking thing. And they will absolutely give a lie to the media, and then the media will then spread that lie. But hey, it's not on the media for spreading it because the media had a source, right? Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.